Hi everyone, this is Kasia Zmokla from Digital Art Classes, and today I'm going to tell you a little story. I hope this will never happen to you. So watch this video and learn from my mistakes. Okay, so here are the pictures and here's the story. So last Sunday we've been scouting during the day for a new location. We found this beautiful place. So as you can see here, this is a bit of a hill and this is just a perfect position. From the left hand side you have east, from the right hand side you have west. So we've decided to get back to this location in the evening just for the sunset, for the golden hour, and just to take pictures. And the conditions were perfect. So we've been there just maybe 15 minutes ahead, and these lighting conditions lasted maybe 5, maybe 7 minutes maximum. If I zoom in, you can see that actually at the same time when there was this strong light hitting all those beautiful trees from the right hand side, there was a little shower as well. So you can see those little drops falling. So basically the conditions were perfect, everything was lit beautifully, and because those leaves were wet, you had this super silverish, very beautiful rim of light around those leaves. So there was even a rainbow. Here you are. So what's the problem? The problem is this. When I got back home, I realized that I took all these images as JPEGs. Yes, that's true. So the only thing I can say is that I have dropped my camera just after I've bought it maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was planning my trip to Nepal. Just before departure, actually, I got the camera and I dropped it when I was testing it out. So the little preview screen at the back of the camera is broken, and the good side is that I can take plenty of images only on one battery. I have another battery as a backup. So with those two batteries I can shoot all day long in quite warm conditions. If it's cold, it's a different story, but the screen is broken, so I didn't see what I'm doing. If I wanted to check the format in which I'm shooting, it would require some playing around with the camera, and I had no time for this. So I was super excited. I was taking those images, and this took me maybe 20 minutes, and then it got dark, so basically I took maybe about 80 pictures in total. Here I'm just showing you a selection. So I was that excited with the location and with the perfect conditions that I was even crawling around the puddle, yes, that's true, and taking images of the reflection. Okay, so you might ask me, okay, what's the problem? What's the drama? So the thing is that if you have ever taken raw images, if you have ever photographed a location with quite difficult lighting conditions, you know that you can do magic with raw editor. So here I've been playing around a bit, so just to show you the camera that I've been using, and this was the Fujifilm. I just want to show you this as a comparison because these are JPEGs, and in a second I'm going to show you images taken with exactly the same camera, with exactly the same lens as raw files, and what I was able to do to recover the data. So these are unfortunately JPEGs, and I've been playing around a bit with these images, so I have applied a little bit of luminosity adjustments. I was playing around with curves, so I've done a little bit of color grading. However, there's not much you can actually do to recover the data that is lost here. The images are quite large, so the resolution from the Fujifilm X-T2 is 6000 by 4000 pixels, but if you zoom in, so now we are at 100%, you can see that already the quality is just horrible. You may not be able to see all these nuances on the compressed MP4 video on YouTube, but if you were working with RAW files your last 5 or 10 years, and then if you make this mistake and if you bring home JPEGs, this will be really a disaster. So if I quickly show you the before and after, so this is my final result. However, I just can't work on those images. It's just painful, to be honest. So if I hit Y on my keyboard, the image to the left is the original JPEG. I haven't taken JPEGs for ages, so even saying original JPEG sounds weird. So this is the original JPEG, and this is what I've done with a little bit of color grading. So there's just no way to get back the information that is lost here. So if I go here, if I create another field adjustment layer, and if I play with highlight, if I go all the way to the left, this is just turning into gray. So let me show you another example of an image taken with the same camera. So I've been working with Fujifilm X-T2 and with the lens XF 18mm. So let's jump quickly over to a different folder, and let me just go to the first image. So that image looks quite decent. I've done a little bit of post-processing here, so I have some layers, and let me show you how this image looked like before. And let's just quickly jump to the metadata. So the same camera, and okay, this is a different lens, but believe me, it doesn't make such a big difference. So let's just quickly hit Y, and okay, the image to the left is just original RAW file instead of JPEG. So you can see here at the bottom and here in the browser that I'm working with RAW files, RAF. This is a RAW file from Fujifilm camera. So this is original image. If you had no experience with RAW files, you would probably immediately throw the image to the bin. It looks horrible. It is overexposed, there is no detail, and basically if you wouldn't know what is possible with RAW files, with the new algorithms, and it doesn't matter if you are working in Capture One or Lightroom or whatever, it's just question of having original RAW file. So this is the original RAW file, and this is what was possible to do in post-processing. So I had all the data to recover. Maybe there was not much of the data in the sky area, but here if you zoom in, so the size, the resolution is the same since I was working with the same camera. So now we are at 100%, and you can see that there is plenty of beautiful detail everywhere in every single part of the frame. So here in the background, in the middle, in the center, and in the foreground. So I've applied quite a lot of work here. I've applied quite a strong sharpening, but from this image you can even crop smaller parts and you can create interesting composition. So I've recorded this video, as I've said at the very beginning, so you could learn from my mistakes and at least try to avoid them. But as far as I know, this happened to almost anyone. So I have no idea how this happened. I had the camera set to RAW for the last couple of years, and out of the sudden I brought home JPEGs. This is another example. I've done some processing here as well, but as you can see, the first file, the original raw file, is completely not appealing, is flat, the colors are just chaotic, and I would throw this image to the bin. But since I know what can be done with raw files in any raw editor, I kept those files. And to be honest, these files are quite old. They are almost 1 year old, and I really love coming back to these files and create different variants and process them differently. So remember, always keep your raw files. You can do some pre-selection, but don't throw them away, because there is always hidden potential in your raw files. So for all of you, for those who were still not convinced if you should shoot in raw, so I hope this video is convincing enough. Raw files are called digital negatives. When you shoot raw, you have access to all the unedited data, and that way you decide how to process your image. If we jump back to the other folder, so you can see here that if I let's just jump quickly, the first one, if I hit Y, the image to the left is the image that my camera taken. This is all the decisions that were basically taken automatically by the camera, and as you should know, JPEG is just designed in a way that it should look appealing straight from the camera. So if I had the little screen preview working at the back of my camera, I could probably see immediately all these poisonous green tones, and I should probably notice that something is going really badly. But since the screen was broken, I just continued shooting, and I didn't see all these crazy colors and all of this happening. So I've noticed this after going back home. So the lesson is learned. Now I'm coming back to the place and hoping to get the same beautiful light someday. So I visited the place twice for the sunset, and the first day, Monday, the weather was really bad, the light was flat, everything was just dark, and there was nothing even close to those conditions that were visible here on those pictures on Sunday. Today I went to this location as well, but all those beautiful elements were just flat as well. There was a bit of color in the sky when everything got darker, but it was just nothing near to these images. Maybe I'm being over dramatic here, but this is just a precaution for you. Don't do this. Always check if your camera is set to RAW and bring home RAW files. So that's it for today. That's a short story so you can learn from my mistakes. So this was Kasia Zmokla from Digital Art Classes, and I see you in the next video very, very soon. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye now.